This podcast is brought to you from Grantwood AEA, an educational service agency that supports school districts in eastern Iowa with a focus on equity, excellence, and efficiency in education for all children.
Welcome to episode 66 of the EdTech Takeout, the podcast that serves up bite-sized technology tips for teachers. My name's Jonathan Wiley, and joining me on this very special day is a very special person, Mindy Kearney.
Hi. It's International Podcast Day.
It is International Podcast Day. Yes.
So a little quick episode just in celebration of International Podcast Day.
We're going to celebrate with a podcast-themed episode.
Yes. Podcast about podcasts.
I put something together for you, Mindy.
You did?
A quick-fire podcast Q&A.
Ooh, okay.
Where we're going to dispense with our usual formalities and put you on the spot here.
Okay.
The hot seat, if you will.
Okay.
So, number one.
All right.
First podcast you listened to?
Cereal.
Really?
Yeah.
Serial was the first one you listened to?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. That was a lot of people's first podcast, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, probably. I know. I like to listen to music in the car. So.
Okay.
This was Cereal.
I think mine was This Week in Tech, which I think is still on, but
who does that? Do you know?
Leo Laporte.
Okay.
So yeah, Tony Amsler had his computer open one time, and I saw it was open at iTunes, and he had that podcast running, and I'm like, I never thought I'd try podcasts before, so I thought I'd try that podcast.
That's a long time ago then, yeah?
That was a long time ago, like 5 years, 6 years ago.
I've been here for 5 years.
Yeah. Well, it was pre-Mindy.
Yeah, it was way pre-me, right?
Yeah. All right, question 2 then. When do you listen to podcasts?
I only listen to podcasts in the car.
You only listen in the car?
So whenever I'm driving, I guess.
That's a good time, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got all that spare time to catch up on stuff.
I did try for a little while to do it while I was working out. I need a little bit more motivation when I'm working out than listening to podcasts. So.
I tried that too. I tried that when I was running, and I'm like, this isn't really keeping me going.
No,
I need some like loud music with some rhythm and stuff. So
yeah.
So I listen in the car too.
Yeah. Do you ever listen when you're here at work? I can't multitask like that.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I can have music in the background, but I can't have podcasts in the background.
I can't get information.
Yeah.
And be working.
I'll listen when I'm walking the dog.
Oh,
Number 3, which podcast app do you use?
Oh, I just use the Apple Podcast app.
Apple Podcast app? There's lots to choose from.
I know, but it's always been on there, and I think I don't know.
Okay.
I know there's better ones to use. I know because...
I don't know if there's better ones.
You don't think so?
I don't know. I think when I look at our podcast stats, that's like the number one app that people listen to us with.
It's because it's built in. It's there,
exactly.
right?
It's less hassle. There's less friction.
Yeah, but what do you use? Because you've gone through different...
I think I've been through a lot, but I use Overcast right now on iOS. So.
Is it free?
It is free.
Is it completely free now? Is that the one that just went completely free?
No, Pocket Casts just went completely free.
Right.
Yes. So.
Okay.
But lots of good ones out there.
All right.
Number 4, and this might take us back to number 1. Who knows? Favorite podcast of all time, Mindy?
Well, I do have a favorite one, but I can't say it because it has a bad word in the title.
Okay.
So I'll skip that one and go to. I really like Someone Knows Something.
Someone Knows Something. Mm-hmm. Okay. Which is is that a true crime thing?
It is not necessarily true crime, although, I mean, that's usually my genre, right, that I go to. I would say that each season is its own mystery of some sort. So sometimes it's a crime, and sometimes it's a possibility of a crime, or a missing person, or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, so each season is a totally different story, but and I wish I knew what the name of the reporter is or the investigator in it. He does a really great job, I think.
Fun.
What about you?
The EdTech Takeout. Question number 5. I don't know if I could.
Humble.
I don't know if I could pick one from all the podcasts. I know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like that one that you were talking about too.
Yeah.
That you couldn't mention.
You can DM us for that one. We'll let you know which one. That
was
a fantastic podcast, but
yes.
Yeah.
And I liked Serial season 1.
Not season 2. Don't go there. Don't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did listen to 3. Did you listen to season 3?
I didn't know.
Okay. Season 3 was very different.
Was it?
Yeah. All right, number 5. Do you listen to podcasts at 1x, 1.5x, 2x, or more than that?
It depends on which podcast it is.
Okay. So some you listen to a bit faster.
Some I listen to faster than others.
I generally listen to everything at 1x.
Yeah.
But so when we were at ISTE in Chicago, I met Jen Giffen in real life,
Yes.
face to face, and she
Right.
said, "Oh, I almost didn't recognize you because I listened to all my podcasts at 2 times speed, so you sound completely different from what you do on the
that's
podcast."
interesting. See, and I only listen to people when they're in double speed if they're boring. So what's that say about us? It's a lot, Jen.
Yeah, thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Let's move on to question 6. Do you skip ads or listen to ads?
Skip ads.
Skip ads?
Yes.
That's what the skip button's for, isn't it?
Yes. I cannot. And for some reason, they're always so much louder, it seems like.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Sometimes they are, yeah.
Oh, I hate that. Yes. I skip the ads. All right, up next, main course, or do you piping hot? It's International Podcast Day. What
Yes,
better
it
way to
is.
celebrate? Podcast about podcast.
Yeah. We're going to celebrate with, I don't know, something that I hope is not going to leave people out.
Oh, well, I mean, you can't, there's like
Yeah.
9 million podcasts. If somebody
Exactly.
gets offended, just turn off this podcast.
This is not an exhaustive list. If you are a podcaster and you're...
Listen to you with your disclaimers. If you didn't make the list, sorry.
Yeah.
This isn't like an elite list. It's
Exactly.
just like we threw some names on a page.
We only have so much time.
Yeah, come on.
All right.
No disclaimers.
First up.
Let's get started.
First up,
Yeah.
I put on here the Google Teacher Tribe.
Yeah.
Because I know that's a really popular podcast with
sure.
educators.
Yeah, Matt Miller, Casey Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, talking Google.
Yes, it's all Google all the time,
All
really.
Google all
Yes.
the time.
So if you like that Google Kool-Aid, that's the place to go.
I think this is a good one when there are new updates. I know I was telling you before is that I was on my way out to a school and was going to be talking about the new updates to Google Classroom when they added in like the feedback stuff and like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm going to listen to make sure I see what kind of integration things they've already come up with. You know, the ideas, the nuts and bolts I can always handle, but it's always good to know some ideas of how to actually integrate that or use that with kids. So I always think that's a good spot to go for those Google tricks.
Yeah, it comes out weekly. They're about 30 to 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And I think if you like that one, you're also going to like Casey's standalone podcast, which is the Shake Up Learning podcast. So we'll put links to all of these in the show notes. And if you are not already listening to these, hey, I was listening to the last episode. I think it was the last episode of the Google Teacher Tribe.
Yeah.
They said they were approaching 1 million downloads.
Wowzers.
So, yeah, they have a lot
That's
of
a
people
lot.
listening.
Yeah.
It's not a million people listening, but, you know, it's a million downloads.
But
So,
still, that's a lot.
Yeah,
But they
for
also
sure.
have a ton of episodes, too, don't they? Because
yes.
they've been at it for a while.
And they do it weekly, so they
Yeah.
will be getting them twice as often
Yeah,
as us,
right.
for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, this next one you have on the list, I've never heard of before. What is it?
There was that hiccup.
No. Am I supposed to know this? Educational Duct Tape Podcast?
All right, so, but you know Jake Miller.
I do know Jake
And
Miller.
and the stuff he does. So
Yeah.
he has a podcast called the Educational Duct Tape Podcast.
Okay.
And I thought you might like this one if you want to try a new one, Mindy,
Okay.
because he has a soapbox.
Oh, I do love to stand up on a soapbox.
He has he has a specific section of the podcast where he says, "All right, I'm getting the soapbox out now."
Okay.
But it's like visual, it's like sound effects. He's like knocking on it and he's pulling it over to the table.
Oh, that's
like
good.
It's a very kind of physical comedy
I love
type
it.
of
So
thing.
what are some of his, what's he mad about? You have any examples? Oh.
So it's not sometimes that they're not like things he's mad about. Sometimes it's just like little inspirational things. Or he was at a conference recently and he heard somebody say, "I'm not the best teacher in the world, but I am the best teacher I will be this year. And every year going forward, I will be the best that I can be."
Yeah.
And he said that, if you don't have that kind of attitude towards teaching, if you are not constantly thinking and looking at things you could do better,
right,
then this isn't the profession
Get
for
out.
you, basically. Yeah. So, a little soapbox moments.
So I'm just wondering, I mean, could that be in addition to this show, like Mindy's soapbox time, and I get to stand on my soapbox and complain about something for like 3 minutes?
Yeah, as long as you're not complaining about me.
Oh, well, you're usually the source of many of my soapbox moments. But
okay. Well, as long as it's not trademarked by Jake Miller, then
soapbox time with me.
I would even get you a milk crate or something to stand on.
I would stand on it too.
Yeah,
I would.
I bet you would.
This kind of reminds me though. So this is not the next one on the list. So I'm going to shift it around here. The Teaching Keating one, I feel like with Wes and Molly Kieschnick, they do soapbox. That's what theirs is too. Don't you feel like kind of? So they do like this movie reference, right? And then they talk for about 15 minutes about something that they're really like passionate about.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. Is just, why are we doing this? Or we should be doing this, or this is why this is important. So they just like take a little bit of time and just bat that idea around for a little while. Yeah,
and we had Weston come and talk to some of our teachers here, and he's the kind of person that he's not going to sugarcoat things.
No,
he's going to just say things directly, whether it's a little controversial or not. But they have a really fun podcast.
They do.
It's like a husband and wife podcast.
Yeah, it is. They've got great chemistry.
Yes, which.
It's kind of fun to listen to their relationship come out in the conversation,
Yes.
And you can tell they get along really well.
So they pick things like TV and movies to look at. Yeah. They've done Top Gun, Wonder Woman, Princess Bride.
Yep.
The last one I heard was The Three Amigos.
Yeah, that was their latest episode, right?
Yeah.
I didn't listen to that one yet, but...
That was fun. It was like 3 things that a teacher should have, and they also did 3 things a parent should also have as well. And... just coming from an educator perspective, like one of Wes's was, he said, you need a kind of a catch-all tech tool that can do multiple things for you.
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, a Swiss Army tech tool.
Google Slides.
Okay, that wasn't his example.
Well, what's his example?
His example was Nearpod.
Oh, right.
Which, you could use that for delivering content whole class. Yeah. You could use it for kind of formative assessment type thing. You could use it for like small group work. You could... I don't know, use it for like study guide type things. Sure. So
it's also not like a super free tool.
It's not super free, correct? Right. Yeah, but if you had access to all the things on there, that would be one example he gave.
Right.
But it's the interesting thing to that podcast is his wife is not really a tech focused person, so she'll give examples on the non-tech side, basically, which are important. Yeah, good balance. So.
All right, so that one's Teaching Keating. So you can't look up like Wes Kieschnick, you have to, or Bold School or anything like that. It's Teaching Keating.
Bold School is a book that he wrote.
Is the
which
book.
You read?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And would recommend?
Yeah, I would.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. All right. How about next up, Practical Ed Tech podcast?
With Richard Byrne?
Yeah.
What do you know about that?
I know nothing. He just started it. I know nothing.
Yes, he did just start. I think that started, he does these like YouTube Q&A sessions where he'll just go on YouTube and do a live session and take questions and answers from people. And I think somebody recommended, said, hey, could you release that as an audio format? And he's like, sure. All I have to do is strip the audio out and
not a big deal.
Put it on Anchor. And that's how it started. And I think he's just gone a little bit into a traditional podcasting role now because he's done interviews with Scott McLeod and Adam Bello and Beth Holland. Some different interesting people because, he's the kind of guy that meets a lot of interesting people.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
doing the job that he does.
The edgy celebrities.
The edgy celebrities
of the world, All right. So I feel like Shooks and GIF deserve a shout out too, right? The Canadians.
The Canadians?
The Canadians.
Our friends from the north? Yeah,
I guess. Like you said, you just got to meet Jen 2 summers ago, I guess now, but still haven't met Jen at all. But her and one of our teachers, Andrew Fenstermaker, are good friends.
Yes, so we have a mutual friend.
Yeah, but they're also digital learning consultants, like I said, the Canadians, and they do a lot of good, little tips and tricks, I think, that are real easy just to start doing.
Yeah, I think so too.
Just like the little things that you're like, oh, I wish someone would have told me that. I didn't realize you could do this little thing, or
little extensions or little tricks, and sometimes they're just sharing things they've seen from other people as well, which is great.
Yeah.
And they do lots of little nuggets, tech nuggets,
they do.
Little tips and things.
Yeah.
So we like those two, and they're obviously good friends as well.
Yeah, they've got good chemistry too.
They have good chemistry on their show, which I think is an important thing for a podcast.
Yeah.
So we need to keep working on that.
And of course, check this out with Ryan and Brian, right?
Yes, check this out with Ryan and Brian.
Right.
I think we probably started podcasting around the same time. Kind of, I don't know.
At least we think so. I don't know.
But yeah, definitely.
We were. I don't know.
I think we probably were.
Was it us?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Yes.
Oh, it does?
I don't know.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
I do feel like they do a lot of investigating of new tools. Don't you think? That podcast is a lot about kind of like what's new and what's exciting, and I think they do a lot of that kind of playing around with things to see if it's worth it. A lot of like wow factor technology.
Yeah, and they're TOSAs.
TOSAs.
Which
I think I just spit on you when I said that.
Yes.
TOSAs. I'm so sorry. I spit on your water bottle even.
Which, for those people who are not in the West Coast, I guess, are teachers on special assignment. So they got taken out of the classroom, and those guys are kind of specializing.
They got taken out of the classroom. I don't know. That's well, maybe they did. I don't know.
Maybe
we don't know personally.
Maybe. Yeah, to volunteer to help with that tech integration side of things.
Yep.
Interesting fact that California, where those guys are from, that's the number 2 state for EdTech Takeout listeners.
It is? Oh,
yeah.
Well.
Yeah, Iowa's number 1, which I think it should be because we created this for our teachers here in Iowa, but California's number 2 right now.
All right. This one I don't know either. Okay. The Chromebook Classroom podcast.
You know, I threw this in because there's a lot of Chromebook schools now, like Cedar Rapids here. I've gone one-to-one Chromebooks in their high school. Mm-hmm. So John Sowash is educational consultant. He has a podcast. I think he's done like 3 or 4 seasons now, so it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
He wrote a book called The Chromebook Classroom, and he has a podcast that is just completely dedicated to Chromebooks, doing things on Chromebooks, tips for working with Chromebooks, managing Chromebooks, or, extensions for Chromebooks and working offline on Chromebooks, and all things to do with Chromebooks. So he has interviews with people sometimes. He'll do listener questions. He's a Google certified trainer, so he knows his stuff. So I thought I'd throw that in there. It's kind of
on here, it's only 20 to 30 minutes. I always like a shorter episode too, so you can just... Yeah,
just a quick, nice, easy one just to pop on and do between buildings or something like that.
Right, yep. Cult of Pedagogy from Jennifer Gonzalez, which this is always, I think, kind of cool because Jennifer's blog is also her podcast.
Yeah.
So it's an audio file of her... I don't know which one came first, chicken or the egg.
It is one of those things. I sometimes wonder if she creates them both at once.
No.
Or she creates a blog post with the intention of it being a podcast episode and just a different medium for it. But yeah, she does lots of great stuff. I'm thinking of the last couple that I listened to she had one, which would be great for International Podcast Day.
Okay.
Tips on how to start a podcast.
Oh, sure.
And she went through it from beginning to end, like, how to plan out episodes, like what kind of equipment you're going to need, where you're going to be able to host this stuff, and kind of like that presentation we did for a while on, the power of podcasting.
Yeah.
So, but it's there if you want to go and take a listen to that one. She had one on Let's Make Better slide shows.
Yeah, that hit the social media circuit a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
2 weeks ago maybe or something like that.
Because there's a lot of people still getting death by PowerPoint and or Google Slides or whatever your tool is. Yeah.
Yep.
We can be better when we're presenting. But she has a lot of educational stuff on there too. That she had one, I remember it was called something like what do you do if all you hear is crickets or something?
Yeah.
And it's for like teachers or presenters or something, and you're trying to you ask them a question, and everybody just sits there.
Oh gosh.
And it's like,
right.
I'm giving you a 7 seconds wait time or whatever. And then sometimes you'll get one brave person that puts their hand up and says something. So she has strategies for getting people to, feedback and give you things. And sometimes it's like, okay, so with an elbow partner or break up into groups and that sort of thing. And then they've got time to talk about things together, formulate some ideas and think about it. And then you can feed back to the group because everybody's had time to think and discuss and do things. So just little tips and techniques like that are great from Jennifer Gonzalez.
Okay.
And I'll just throw one more in here that I've been listening to recently, which is actually from Cedar Rapids School District, because I know Stacy was a guest on their podcast recently, and I thought it's just different to think about, what if a school district had a podcast?
Right.
And I don't know too many school districts that do have podcasts.
Right. Maybe Heather Callahan's does, right? Does Heather Callahan's school? Heather, let us know. I think you can listen to hers on Alexa even, or is that their school announcements? I got us sidetracked. Continue. Talk about the Cedar Rapids podcast. I apologize.
So the Cedar Rapids podcast is called Schooled. It's unusual spelling. It's Skoold. And I think whenever they've had guest speakers come to the district, they had like Amy Yu on. She's from the Google Education team. They had our leader and mentor, Stacy Beamer, was on the podcast. They have some of their administrators on the podcast, and they're just trying to share the mission of what their ideas are for creating good learning conditions in the district and the things they want to get done in the district. So I think that's an interesting idea. You hear like even
if your listeners are just your employees, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We just are putting this out here, so at any time you can always go and listen to see what's going on or what our thoughts are. It
comes like from their communication team. They're the people that help put that together, but Joe's like Joe Sanfilippo, who does all his branding and school branding and stuff. I think it fits in really well with that sort of thing. Yes. So maybe he has a podcast, a crickets podcast.
I don't know. That'd be interesting.
All the different ways that you can broadcast and share your message with the public. So a podcast would be a good idea.
Yeah. All right, but at the same time, not just adults listen to podcasts.
Correct.
So we've got a quick laundry list of podcasts that your students could listen to or your kids at home, right?
Yes, for sure.
All right. So the first one on my list is the Stories podcast.
Okay.
Super short. What I do hate about, once again, the ads, they've got a pretty hefty chunk of ads at the front of the podcast, but it's just a story, and I think it's really interesting for kids to be able to listen to the narrator use their voice to really be a great storyteller.
Okay. Right.
So yeah, in short,
yes,
can listen to it on the way to school.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and those are the ideal ones, aren't they? That you can just put on in the car and do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose one that I think my wife wouldn't pick, but it's the kind of thing that if the kids say to me, hey, can we listen to a podcast? I will choose this. And it's called Pants on Fire.
Okay.
And I think I've mentioned it before in the podcast. I'm not sure, but the general premise of it is they have two people that come in to talk about a subject. So maybe it's like skateboarding, okay? And they're both experts on skateboarding. But one of them is telling the truth and one of them is not. And they have like a 12-year-old come on and they ask them questions about skateboarding.
The 12-year-old asks the questions?
The 12-year-old asks the questions, and they have to try and work out who's telling the truth and who's not telling the truth. They have to do all these. It's like a quiz show type of game show thing.
My kids would like that. How short is that? Is it a short one?
And it is less than half an hour every time. Yeah. Okay. And they have funny things on there too. There's a robot called Lisa, and and Lisa certainly helps make the time go a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So
good. Okay. The other one that I would put on here, I added on this one, is the unexplainable disappearance of Mars Patel, which I have mentioned before. I would say that it's, probably most likely for older elementary students, although I do make questionable parenting decisions sometimes. So Annie's been listening to it for a while. One of the things I like about it is the episodes are pretty short. Yes. The other thing is that it's I mean, it's not necessarily binge worthy. It's not that good, but it goes for seasons, one after the other. So it reminds me kind of the podcasting experience. Instead of just standalone episodes, it, bleeds into the next episode, which I like.
Okay. So I will pick one which my daughter listens to. She's just gone into middle school, but she listened to it in 5th grade, and it's called 6 Minutes.
Okay.
And I think this is a popular one with kind of upper elementary kids. I haven't listened to very much of it, but I noticed she binged it, basically. She was just like listening to episode after episode after episode, walking around the house with headphones on, listening to it all the time. It sounds a bit like a kind of a kid's version of like the Jason Bourne movies.
Okay.
Where she wakes up and she has no memory of who she is or what happened, and then there's all these clues and things that she has to follow and get through to find out she has like some special. She has like some special abilities as well as she goes through, and she's like a spy. And so 6-minute episodes. You can't really complain too much about that. You can probably find 6 minutes in your day. You're waiting for the bus or something. Yeah. It's like, hey, let's do another 6 minutes, and it hooks kids pretty quickly.
Yeah. I think we've mentioned this one before too, which is Wow in the World, and that's an NPR podcast hosted by Mindy, Thomas, and Guy Raz. Is it Guy Raz?
Yes.
Yes. And that was just kind of a fun one, I think, fun and quick, and my kids always enjoy listening to it. We don't listen to it a ton, but each episode kind of addresses a interesting question of some sort.
It's kind of science and nature.
Kind of a mystery Doug feel works. A little bit to it, like here's this thing I'm wondering about.
But it's very it's very slapstick as well, isn't it?
Is,
they have like
sound effects,
flying pigeons that they go on to go back in time and different things like that. So it's crazy, but
kids,
the kids love it.
The kids like it.
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
What else is still on here?
Talk about Circle Round.
Circle Round. So I don't know what the Stories podcast is like, but I think it's going to be similar to that. It's kind of like folk tales and stories from the past. Yeah. They're kind of short 10 to 20 minute episodes, but they usually have some kind of like guest actors on there. And they'll say, today's episode, kids, is read by this person.
Oh.
Grown-ups, you may know them from
cool.
and whatever else the TV shows they've been on. So
the other two on here, I don't know. You must have put them on. The Radio Adventures of Eleanor Amplified and the Alien Adventures of Finn Caspian.
Lots of adventures on there, right?
Yeah. Are they the same, like from the...
I don't know if they're done by the same people. Radio Adventures of Eleanor Amplified is kind of like an old school radio play type of thing, where there's actors and there's sound effects and there's people doing different voices and all that kind of thing. So she's kind of like a Nancy Drew type journalist character, and she's investigating and trying to bring down corruption and the bad guys and all that kind of stuff. The Alien Adventures of Finn Caspian is kind of a science fiction one for kids. It's about this 8-year-old boy who is traveling through space and the adventures and aliens and things he meets. We've only listened to a couple of that one, but when we started listening to it, I was like, this doesn't... I don't know if I can keep up with this. They talk really fast. And then I realized that my podcast had been switched to 2X or something, and I had no idea how my kids were keeping up with it.
Oh, it's awesome.
And I'm like, this sounds a lot different when you play it at 1X.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that was kind of crazy. So we need to go back to that one.
Yeah.
But I think it's done by the same people that do Pants on Fire.
Oh, I see. So we're gonna listen to that Pants on Fire one.
Yeah,
we would like that.
It's fun.
Yeah, my kids are good.
It's educational for sure.
All right, so last but not least, Jonathan's Tech Nuggets.
What?
I'm not bringing any Tech Nuggets to the table here.
You're bringing no Tech Nuggets.
This was a cheat. We were going to do Tech Nuggets, and then you put Tech Nuggets on the dock.
I know.
Okay.
Do you feel bad now?
I don't know.
Not at all.
Not at all. But you got 2 podcast Tech Nuggets.
Okay. One is called Listen Wise, which I thought would be an interesting one just to share podcasting time. It is on International Podcast Day. It is not new tool or a new service or anything. But if you've not tried it before and you want to give it a try, it is at listenwise.com. It's kind of a good way to maybe think about listening comprehension with your students. They take stories from NPR and plug them into their site, so they're kind of partnered with those guys. They might only be like, I don't know, 7, 8, 10-minute episodes, but underneath each one they have some listening comprehension questions, some discussion themes, and then they even have these like organizers, like graphic organizers you can use while you're listening to help sort your information and put that in there. So you can click on those and print those out, and those are all free. So this was a blast from the past too. They have this on here. Do you remember the formative assessment tool called Socrative?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
It still exists.
I think it still exists. I think it's paid now. I'm not entirely sure.
No, there is some free version. There's a freemium.
So the kind of interesting thing is they have all their questions. They have the listening comprehension questions and things.
Yeah.
They put them into a Socrative quiz, and they give you the code for the quiz so that you just type in the code and you've got all the questions in a Socrative already to use.
Nice.
So different topics they have. They have like ELA, they have social studies, they have science, and you can, current events and things like that. So listenwise.com.
Next nugget.
Okay, moving on. Next nugget is called Descript, which I don't know. This isn't really a nugget necessarily. I mean, I think it's really super interesting on International Podcast Day.
Don't negate your nugget.
Okay, man. I'm not going to denigrate it anymore. But so this is a really interesting tool. It's about how to record, transcribe, edit, and mix a podcast. And they do it super differently than you might normally expect. So as you talk and record your podcast, it automatically transcribes it into text.
Right.
So when you come back to edit it, if you think, I shouldn't have said that sentence in there, you go to the text and you delete the text, and it deletes that part of the audio.
Right.
Which I think is really
interesting.
So for the people that are like, I can't podcast, that's like super intimidating.
Right.
Well, all you have to do is read through the script and delete the parts you don't want. You can take out the us and the as if you want by deleting those out. They even have this thing called overdub, where you can go back to the text, and maybe you said, I don't know, it started in 2018 and you meant 2017. You delete 2018 and you write 2017, and it will say 2017 in your voice.
Yeah.
So
it pulls the sounds from the other words.
Yeah. And they have demos like that on their website. So they have like sentences that said, I should probably get in shape this year. And you can change get in shape to whatever you want and hit speak it. And it will speak out the sentence in that voice. So
did you see on that, though, that they're like, but this is a really powerful technology and could be used for evil?
Yes.
And so you can only, I don't know how they do this, because they're like, you can only dub in your own voice. So you can't take someone's like, but you could strip the audio from someone else.
Correct.
Couldn't you? And put that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe that's just my.
Yes.
But it is a super, like the video is super cool.
I just think it's a really interesting.
Oh my gosh, it's like a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah, when you think about when I think about all I do in Adobe Audition and stuff like this, to get our podcast cut and everything.
All the bad things taken out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Mindy swearing.
Yeah.
And once we get all that done and taken care of, it takes a while, but I wonder if this is like the future of podcast editing.
I don't know. Do you kind of want to try it with like an episode?
Maybe.
Maybe we should try it just once.
You think once? Okay.
Or like just do Tech Nuggets sometime or something like small with it and just see how it works.
It is freemium. The core features allow you, I think, 3 hours of transcription a month. So that would do us.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
It transcribes it as it goes, though. So, like, when we actually start recording and when we actually get professional enough to do the podcast, there could be, like, 20 minutes in there where we're just recording just junk.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So we'd have to be a little bit more professional and be like, okay, now we're ready.
We're on the money clock now.
Yeah, right. But 3 hours, I mean, that would get lots of people, lots of places.
I think so.
You get pretty far in 3 hours. It's a super cool video. If nothing else, watch the video because you'll be like... You'll be wowed.
It's in the show notes.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so it's International Podcast Day. Go show some love to your favorite podcasters. If you heard of some new shows that you wanted to listen to today, shoot them a message. Tell them on social media that, hey, they're doing great things and that you like what they do, because I think that helps grow the podcasting industry and get more people listening to podcasts. And speaking of which, we should probably give a shout out to Kendra and Yan.
Okay. Ann Yen or Ann Yenny.
And friend of the show, Marissa Dahl, who did give us a mention on Twitter recently and said, hey, you guys should listen to their Tech Takeout.
Thank you.
I enjoy that. So I will link to all their Twitter profiles in the show notes and all the podcasts and everything we listen to. Yeah.
All right. So I am at Team Carney on Twitter. Jonathan is at Jonathan Wiley. Our team account is at DLGWAA, and you can use our hashtag EdTechTakeout to tag the show. If you prefer, you can send us an email to podcast@gwaa.org.
So until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaea.org/podcast.
So until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hits. I'm going to do that again. I don't think I've ever floundered on the ending part.
No.
Do it again.
So until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it...
Wow.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot. Wow.
Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.